Y'all ain't ready for this one. Sit down, grab your sweet tea, and brace your souls because Raven-Symoné just went and said the one thing everybody was scared to say out loud. That Bill Cosby, yes, America's TV dad, might have had her dirty, twisted hand in Malcolm Jamal Warner's death. Oh, we are not talking about some petty Hollywood rumor. No, ma'am. We are talking cold-blooded, behind-the-scenes, lights-off, whispers-in-the-dark level drama. Now, I know what you're thinking, not Cosby again. But baby, this ain't no repeat episode. This is the kind of plot twist even Netflix wouldn't greenlight cause it's too messy. Raven out here dropping hints like breadcrumbs, and if you follow M long enough, you don't end up at no gingerbread house, you end up staring straight into the belly of a Hollywood cover-up so nasty it makes the Scandal TV show look like Sesame Street. And y'all, if what she's hinting at is true, this might just be the nail-in the Cosby legacy coffin. Y'all, when I tell you Raven-Symoné didn't just tiptoe into the mess, she cannonballed straight into it with glitter boots on. She went on this podcast looking all innocent, sipping her tea, smiling, but baby, the words coming out of her mouth, nuclear. She basically said, without saying, that Malcolm Jamal Warner's death wasn't just some tragic wrong place, wrong time situation like the headlines been feeding us. Oh no, she said there was a hand guiding the whole thing. And that hand belonged to Mr. Cliff Huxtable himself. Now, we all remember how tight Raven and Malcolm were back in those Cosby show days. She was the cute little cousin with the sass. He was the big brother figure keeping the set fun. They had that real bond. So when she heard Malcolm was gone, she ain't just cry, she went into detective mode. And according to her, the timeline of events surrounding his death didn't add up. Like, at all that she started off hinting that Malcolm had been getting weird calls in the weeks before he passed. And not just prank calls or fan stuff. No, these were private number, middle-of-the-night calls where the voice on the other end would pause before speaking, like they were making sure it was really him, and Raven swears Malcolm told her once, "If something happens to me, you already know who to look at, baby." My neck snapped back so hard when she said that I almost needed a chiropractor. Now, you gotta understand, the Cosby Show reunion talks had been floating around for years, right? But Malcolm wasn't on board with all of it. According to Raven, he had dirt on Cosby that would have made any comeback impossible. We talking the kind of receipts you don't just tweet, you keep them in a safety deposit box under fake names and a backup hard drive buried in the desert. Raven says Malcolm was planning to go public with something. She didn't say what exactly, but the way she kept side-eyeing the camera, oh, she was holding back. Like she knew saying it out loud would get her lawyers working overtime. But here's the part that got the internet on fire. She hinted that the week before Malcolm died, he and Cosby had a heated argument on the phone. She claims she overheard part of it because Malcolm called her right after and he was shaking. According to Raven, Malcolm said, "He told me to stay in line." Or else, now, y'all, or else in Hollywood ain't just some empty phrase. We've seen too many accidents happen to believe that's just talk. And let's not forget, Cosby was already drowning in controversy at the time. Lawsuits piling up, public image shredded, endorsements gone. The man had motive, opportunity, and connections. Raven's basically saying if anyone had the reach to make something happen without leaving fingerprints, it was Cosby, but here's where it gets even creepier. Raven claims that at Malcolm's memorial, there were two unfamiliar men standing way in the back, dressed in all black, not speaking to anybody. She swears she caught one of them watching her, like watching, when she looked again, gone, just like that, and before you say maybe they were security, she says the family didn't hire any, and the venue didn't either. Twitter detectives already out here connecting dots, digging up old photos of Cosby's known associates, matching faces. Some folks say one of those men used to work as personal security for big-name celebrities who suddenly vanished from the limelight. Others think they were there to make sure no one at the memorial got brave and started talking. Now here's the real kicker. Raven says she's been getting her own weird calls ever since she spoke up. Same unknown numbers, same pause before speaking. Sometimes nobody talks at all. Other times, a voice just says her name slow and hangs up. And y'all, she's not the type to scare easy, but she admitted on that podcast that she's sleeping, with her phone in airplane mode and cameras on every door. So what does this mean? If Raven's telling the truth, we're not just looking at some tragic Hollywood loss, we're looking at a full-blown conspiracy with one of the biggest names in TV history sitting right at the center. And the wildest part, Raven says she has one piece of proof that she's holding onto for the perfect moment. Something that could flip this whole case on its head and make the public see Malcolm's death for what it really was. But here's where things get messy, because just when she was about to spill what that proof was, the podcast's audio glitched, not once, not twice, but 3 times. The host swore it had never happened before, and y'all know the internet ain't buying no technical difficulties story, and that's exactly where things started to snowball. Now, just when you think the teapot can't boil any hotter, bam, Raven drops what she calls the confession files. According to her, these are handwritten letters allegedly from Bill Cosby himself, and get this, dated 2 weeks before Malcolm's mysterious death. One line in particular has the internet in shambles. Sometimes loose threads must be cut before the whole fabric unravels. Now, is that just philosophical grandpa talk? Or is that the kind of poetic villain monologue you hear right before a Netflix crime doc's final reveal? And apparently, these letters weren't sitting in a dusty attic. They were mailed directly to Raven's private Los Angeles address in early 2025. She says she'd never seen handwriting that cold before. She even went so far as to hire a so-called graphology expert on Instagram Live. The guy popped in wearing sunglasses indoors, sipping what looked suspiciously like gin, and swore up and down, "This is Cosby's script. I'd stake my career on it." Now, I don't know what career we're talking about here, because I'm pretty sure Instagram Live handwriting analysis isn't an accredited field, but the internet ate it up. Meanwhile, TMZ-style anonymous insiders started leaking alleged police notes. These supposed reports claim that weeks before Malcolm's death, there were heated exchanges between him and Cosby about keeping quiet over network money laundering practices. That phrase alone, money laundering, was enough to send social media into a frenzy. Hashtags like hashtag Cosby Cartel and hashtag Justice for Malcolm started trending within hours. Twitter, or X, or whatever we're calling it this week, turned into an absolute war zone of conspiracy threads, grainy screenshots, and sources close to the family popping up every 10 minutes. And let's not forget the sudden technical difficulties during Cosby's live charity event just days after Malcolm's death. Remember that weird flicker in the camera feed? The muffled whisper caught on mic right before the stream cut out? Yeah, internet detectives are convinced someone in the background said, "It's done." Cosby's team insists it was just a sound tech saying, "Check 1, but come on, really?" But here's where Raven really twists the knife. She claims she's been sitting on actual security footage from a studio parking lot on the night Malcolm was last seen alive. She says the footage shows a black SUV with tinted windows pulling up, Malcolm being escorted inside, and the vehicle leaving without him. She hasn't released the video yet because of pending legal advice, but she's promised a full drop on her YouTube channel next week. You know what that means. Every drama channel from here to Timbuktu is going to dissect it frame by frame like it's the Zapruder film. Naturally, Cosby's camp came out swinging. His spokesperson, who looked like they hadn't slept in 3 days, called the claims outrageous fabrications from a fading child star seeking relevance, which honestly is a bold strategy considering the internet loves nothing more than rallying behind a so-called washed-up celebrity reclaiming the spotlight through a scandal. Meanwhile, ex-cast members are slowly creeping out of the woodwork. One friend of Tempest Bledsoe hinted on Facebook that Raven isn't lying and that there were whispers on set for years about Malcolm being in over his head with Cosby's inner circle. Lisa Bonet hasn't said a word, but she posted a cryptic Instagram story with nothing but the quote, "Sometimes silence speaks louder than screams." That was enough to send Reddit spiraling into a 10-hour theory crafting session. And here's where things get done right cinematic. A former NBC security guard who claims he was fired for knowing too much did an interview with an underground podcast and alleged that the network kept off-book meeting rooms for private conversations between Cosby and high-profile visitors. According to him, Malcolm was summoned to one of those meetings just 3 days before his death. He swears he saw Malcolm leaving the building with a man in a gray trench coat, visibly shaken. When the host asked him why he didn't say anything sooner, he replied, "Because I like breathing." This is the kind of spiraling narrative where every source adds a new layer of mystery, every cryptic social post becomes a breadcrumb, and every denial just makes the public believe it more. And if you think this is all just internet hysteria, remember the LAPD has not officially closed the case. That's right. It's still listed as undetermined cause of death. Combine that with a celebrity whistleblower, alleged letters, unreleased footage, and years of whispers, and you've got the perfect storm for a media circus, and yet through all this chaos, Cosby himself remains eerily calm, no public meltdowns, no frantic PR tour, just an occasional smug smile when asked about the accusations. Almost like he wants the speculation. Almost like he knows something we don't, but that calm? That smugness, that's exactly what Raven says gives him away, and just when you thought the Cosby crime thriller had reached its peak, buckle up. Because in this final chapter, Raven Symoné didn't just throw the man under the bus, she dragged the entire bus station with her. In a private, but mysteriously leaked clubhouse audio room, Raven supposedly told an audience of 20 that she had proof Cosby ordered a cleanup after Malcolm's death. And when one listener asked her to clarify, she allegedly said, and I quote, "Let's just say the cleaners didn't have mops, they had NDAs and hush money, hush money." Now, in the real world, that's the kind of statement that gets you slapped with a lawsuit before your phone even finished charging. But in fake newsland, that's red meat for the wolves. And the wolves were hungry, TMZ-style blogs ran with headlines like Cosby's crew seen in midnight meeting with studio execs and Malcolm's last phone call was to Raven. Suddenly, this wasn't just a gossip story, it was a movement. Twitter threads, Instagram lives, TikTok breakdowns, with eerie background music, all claiming that this was the biggest Hollywood hit job since Hollywood learned how to bury scandals in the 50s. Meanwhile, Cosby's PR team was playing whack-a-dash-mole with the truth. Every time they issued a denial, 3 news sources popped up. A former stagehand claimed he saw Malcolm arguing with a familiar old man in a leather cap outside the studio 2 weeks before his death. A supposed neighbor said Cosby had been too cheerful the day after the tragedy. And my personal favorite, an anonymous security consultant told a gossip blog that Cosby's driver bought an extra-large trench coat from a costume shop the night Malcolm died. Was that relevant? No. Was it suspicious? In the viral court of public opinion, absolutely . And then, boom, a leaked email. Out of nowhere, a screenshot started circulating, allegedly from Cosby's assistant, to an unknown party saying, "Mission complete. Package secured, proceeding to phase 2. Now, was it confirmed? No. Was it photoshopped? Almost certainly. But that didn't matter. Because by now, this was no longer about evidence, it was about vibes. And the vibes were screaming guilty. Raven, sensing the chaos she'd unleashed, doubled down. She went live on Instagram, wearing oversized sunglasses and a hoodie, speaking in what she called hypotheticals, but what everyone else called straight-up accusations. She told her followers, sometimes the people we call family are the ones signing our exit papers. Chills? Literal chills. Comment sections lit up like wildfire. Cosby is done. Justice for Malcolm. Raven is risking it all for the truth. But here's the twist, the real twist. Days later, reports started surfacing that the LAPD had quietly reopened an investigation into Malcolm's death. Not officially. Oh no, they'd never admit that to the press. But sources close to the department leaked that detectives were reviewing new testimony and revisiting inconsistencies in the case file. Translation: somebody, somewhere, was finally poking at the sleeping bear, and just when we thought we'd seen it all, Cosby made a rare public appearance, not at a press conference, not at a charity event, but at a jazz club, smiling, laughing, signing autographs like a man who hadn't just been accused of orchestrating a murder-for-hire plot. And of course, the internet lost it. Look at him, one viral tweet read, "Not a care in the world." Almost like he thinks he's untouchable. By the end of the week, the lines had been drawn. Team Raven versus Team Cosby memes flooded the timeline. Think Kermit sipping tea, but with Malcolm's face in the reflection of the teacup. TikTok detectives were doing voice analysis on the leaked Clubhouse audio, trying to confirm it was Raven, and Reddit threads with names like R. Justice for Malcolm exploded overnight. And here's the kicker, the one thing that made this story. Immortal, a so-called insider, claimed that a major streaming platform had already started developing a documentary about the case, with Raven as the executive producer. That's right. From co-star to whistleblower to documentary host, the woman was playing for chess. And whether she was telling the truth, exaggerating for the cameras, or just cashing in on the moment, one thing was certain. She had the world's attention, and she wasn't letting go. So, as the credits roll on this saga, we're left with more questions than answers. Was Malcolm's death truly an accident? Was Cosby just an unlucky old man caught in a storm of internet paranoia? Or was Raven finally giving voice to a secret that's been festering in Hollywood for decades? We may never know, but if there's one thing history has taught us, it's this: the truth always leaks. Eventually, and when it does, it's never clean. And there you have it, another day, another layer peeled back from this tangled, twisted saga that makes a Netflix true crime doc look like a bedtime story. But the real question is, do you believe Raven Symoné just dropped the biggest bombshell in Hollywood history? Or is this another case of the industry distracting us while the real puppet masters pull the strings in the shadows? I mean, if what she's claiming is even half true, we're talking about a scandal that could rewrite everything we thought we knew about The Cosby Show, Malcolm's death, and the entertainment elites who guard their own at all costs. So, what's your verdict? Innocent old man or behind-the-scenes mastermind? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because trust me, I'm reading every single one of them. Hit that like button if you want the real truth the mainstream refuses to touch, and subscribe with notifications on, because the next episode in this saga is going to make today's revelations look like a kindergarten playdate. Stay tuned. Stay questioning, and remember, in Hollywood, nothing is ever as it seems.